series. This is our third workshop. We've been doing them on Thursdays. And today we'll go over how to make your first staking request using CDP SDK. So I'm your host, Bobby Lee. I'm a TPM, also known Technical Program Manager, here to help manage our developer community programming for CDP. So thank you again for joining. We're excited to have you. So CDP has created a platform that enables developers to help any business transition on-chain. We aim for our tools to continuously improve in efficiency and effectiveness, enabling us to contribute more meaningfully to the success of those building with our products. So to kick things off, we'd love to know where everyone is at with staking. Add in the chat, your background in staking, if you have any. Have you staked before? Are there any solo stakers here? Yeah, so just let us know kind of what level of understanding or involvement that you have with staking. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to put that in the chat. Yeah, so while you're doing that, I want to introduce you to Eric Malt. He is a senior technical services engineer here at Coinbase, and he is helping answer questions in Discord all the time. So you may already recognize his name if you've been in our Discord for a bit. So the topics we're going to go over today is number one, staking overview. So going over staking here at CDP and why we offer this product. What exactly is it for? What do we offer? And we'll go over a partial ETH staking code along. So an overview of that and a workshop series you can learn as you go. So before we get started, just some housekeeping. We'll have a Q&A session towards the end. And so as we're going throughout the workshop, just add your questions in the chat and we will get to them when we are able to. And we just ask that you keep your questions relevant to the topic and to be respectful to everybody. And this session is also going to be recorded. So if you have to jump out, you'll be able to review it later in our Coinbase YouTube channel, which we will link in the staking channel and our events channel when it's ready. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to hand this over to Eric. So take it away, Eric.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for teeing me up, Bobby Lee. Super excited to be here. I've been with Coinbase for about 3 years now, approaching 3 years. And I've been pretty much involved in staking throughout that whole time. I started off as a implementation analyst, helping different clients stake through Coinbase, and then kind of transitioned into this technical services engineer and kind of transitioned along with the staking product. So I'm actually going to go ahead and share a screen here. It's going to start off with some slides, but it's more just to keep us on track. I know slides aren't the most interesting thing to look at, but just more of a high-level overview as we kind of go through some different topics. Anyway, as Bobby Lee asked, I'm a little curious about people's expectations for staking, what staking means to them, because I'm sure everyone's hopefully a Coinbase user here, or at least on another exchange. You probably see some yield that you're earning, right? And maybe you looked into free monies. Maybe you looked into where that yield is coming from, and most of the time, right, it's staking. So we're not going to go into how staking works, the different types of consensus mechanisms, but right at the end of the day, there's a way to contribute to the network. And doing that usually involves some hardware, some software, some maintenance, and a lot of what we're doing here at Coinbase is to help abstract that or make it easier for anyone from a small user, solo staker to a big enterprise to help them navigate that staking process, make it easy, help secure a network, and earn some rewards while doing it. Cool. So that's kind of what I was talking about with the staking overview, right? It entails different things depending on the network. You might have heard of proof of work for Bitcoin, proof of stake for Ethereum. We're going to be focusing a little more on Ethereum today, just because that's one of our core services. But again, if anyone knows, what does it mean to be a staker or run a validator, right? Feel free to chime in and chat if that sounds familiar. But again, if not, right, these networks are a bunch of computers working together to come to consensus, and in order to reward people for contributing to that network through, again, hardware, power, time, investment, you earn rewards. And that can be a pretty cumbersome process to, right, spin all that up, know like what computer you need to buy, what software you need to download. So again, that's one of the things Coinbase is trying to abstract, CDP specifically. So we're offering, and one of the things we're going to talk about today, and I'll dive into something a little better than slides here in just a second, is our programmatic staking offering. This is through our CDP SDK. And right, it's just, as I was saying, sometimes staking or running these validators can be difficult or time consuming. So right, going through our programmatic staking offering makes it way easier to use. We have a bunch of additional features like reporting. And then also, right, we have our multi-language SDK. So currently we have TypeScript, Ruby, and Golang. Today we're going to be going through a Golang example. If anyone wants to like follow along, it's going to be on the docs, but we'll kind of break it down a little more as we go through it. And then right now we have a number of different supported methods. As far as we do a dedicated ETH service. So again, if anyone's familiar, you actually need a minimum of 32 Ethereum to stake, unless you're going through a shared ETH staking service, which we always also offer. In addition, we do offer some Sol staking as well. And if there's interest, maybe we can run another workshop and talk a little more about that. But as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing a little more on ETH today. Cool. All right. So just a couple of things as we're diving into this. I didn't see anyone really reach out. I'm assuming everyone maybe has a little bit of knowledge on staking and what it means. And hopefully some of these links we're going to just kind of pick through as we go through the code along look familiar. But I'm just going to go ahead and also say, if you need more information, feel free to check out the CDP portal, portal.cdp.coinbase.com. There's a staking tab there. And it kind of goes over a lot of the same things I was just talking about. You can see here, right, some of our code samples, how easy it is to get starting. And again, we're going to be walking through this. And then as well, we have an awesome new page going through all the different networks and offerings we have. So again, what I'm going to be focusing on is more of the API offerings. We do have a ton of other chains we support. So if you have any of these tokens you're looking to stake to a trusted, secure validator, right? That's what this community delegation is. There's another service. This is more for enterprises or medium-sized businesses, custom validators, and a couple other pieces of information here as well. Yep, so awesome resource here. But as we're going into this, we're going to be testing out or walking through our partial ETH staking today. And again, Ethereum is a little bit of a unique one. Just something in case people aren't aware of it, right? There's a couple different components to ETH staking. What I'm showing you right now is the beacon chain. This is the consensus layer of Ethereum. And right, you can just see how many active validators there are. We are going to be testing today in testnet and Holsky. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up that link as well. And I'll either share out these links in the Discord channel or through whatever way is easiest for everyone to access these. We can see, right, the active number of validators on the testnet. There is a queue for Ethereum validators. So you'll see we'll actually spin up a validator and stake by the end of the session. But it probably won't become active in the validator set until a little bit later, just because there's a queue and a limit to how many can enter the network at a time. But this is an awesome resource here. You're able to see all the different validators. And again, as you're using these SDKs, you're able to see, right, you adding validators and contributing to the network. Just another resource here. And this is for mainnet. So you can see that validator queue, another site that I just find informative. Oh, there you go. Awesome. Thanks for sharing some of those links. And then again, if you're ever just curious about staking and want to learn more about different networks and their effectiveness, this is actually from an ex-Coinbase employee. It's called rated.network. You can see here they pretty much do metrics on a couple of different, on 2 different networks right now. And it's just good to see again, what you're contributing to, or, good start to diving deeper on some of the staking here. These next 2, I think we're going to dive into a little more on as we go through the walkthrough, because we are going to be submitting a transaction on chain in order to get our validator proposed to the network. And as that, we're going to need a RPC endpoint. So we'll go through that. And then again, a block explorer, kind of going through some of the basics right now. A block explorer just to see our transactions as we're going through this. So I know that might have been a little bit of a whirlwind, kind of jumping all over. If there's any questions before we kind of get into the actual workings of it, please feel free to ask. I'll take just a second to see if there's any burning questions or if I didn't quite cover something. Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to start from our docs here, which again are amazing. Feel free to check them out. Let us know if you have any feedback on them, but we're going to be going through the shared ETH and making sure, yep, awesome. I should be sharing this still. Right, what's awesome about shared ETH, I mentioned in our dedicated ETH, you have to have a minimum of 32 ETH in order to stake. The shared ETH has no minimum here. We're going to be doing this on testnet as well. So again, anyone here should be able to follow along and start staking on testnet by the end of the session, which I think is super cool. So a little bit of info about our partial ETH staking. They're actually deployed to some proprietary smart contracts. So you're going to be essentially sharing a validator, right? Because you still need that protocol minimum of 32, but pretty much pool together some funds, and then you're able to stake through that pool. So you're going to see some of those smart contracts as we get to the end and view them on testnet. Cool. So again, on our docs here, this is the overview. We're going to go ahead and navigate to the quick start here and kind of follow along to make our first request. And we're going to go ahead and do this in Golang. And let me go ahead and share some VS Code for everyone. I need to add one extra window. Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and split the screen here. And hopefully I'll zoom in as we go and if we need to. But on the right side here, we should see VS Code. On the left, we have Chrome still with the docs open and a couple other links. And let's go ahead. And this is just a brand new folder. I did copy over my CDP API keys. And again, if you haven't already, you should be able to make those through our portal and on your project. And then you'll download a JSON and you can use that so you don't have to fumble with the keys or do anything else. You should just be able to keep it directly in your project directory. So let's go ahead, right? We need to make sure we have Go above a certain version requirement. It says here, so again, if anyone wants to follow along, it might be a little quick, but should be fun still. So I'm currently on version 1.23, which is above 1.19, so we should be good to go. As I mentioned, I already have my API key downloaded and in my directory. But if you don't have one already, definitely check it out. It's free to get started, no KYC to open this up. And yeah, I think everyone here should definitely have their CDP account if you don't already. So I already made a new directory. It's called mine CDP Staking Workshop. And then again, we're going to want to go ahead and download the Golang SDK. I'm just going to zoom in a little more just in case. Maybe we can hide this as well. Oh, let's go ahead and initialize first. It's going to run go in. All right, let's go ahead and install after initializing. Awesome, added that. And then this is actually something that we're going to touch on as we go through this. And one of the awesome offerings we have, there's a couple different options you have for a wallet address. And right, what that means is you're able to, you still have to put up funds when you're staking, and you can do that either through EOA. So, your Coinbase wallet that might have the funds, or again, if you have another like custody solution, if you're an enterprise, if you have your own custody solution and for your users, right? You can, import those private keys just like you would, installing through MetaMask or recovering that way. Or you can use a wallet address hosted through the CDP SDK. We'll talk about what that means. It's currently not offered through the Golang, but we'll take a quick look at the TypeScript example, just so you get a sense of that as well. For this example, just also say we're going to be using the external address. So again, this is just like, you can think of it as your common self-custodial wallet that you might have in your like Coinbase wallet or your MetaMask. So let's go ahead and create a new file here to get us started. This is going to be our stake.go. And we can see we already have the sample code here. I'm going to kind of copy it piece by piece as we go through it. Right, first couple parts, we're just importing some packages, couple standard, and then our CDP SDK. And let me go ahead and pull this over. Awesome. And then we have a couple constants as well, right? So we have to have our file path. I do have mine right directly in this directory, right? So we can just copy this actually. Copy, paste that there. And then the wallet address. Let me go ahead and grab the one that I'll be staking from. So this is going to have to be a wallet address that does have the Holsky funds in it. And you'll see we're actually going to go as our next step. I'm not going to save yet just because it's going to clear that out. So we're going to go ahead and actually check to see what funds we have available as the next part of this sample code here. So we'll go ahead and actually use the SDK. First, we're going to open up our main function and initialize our Coinbase client with the API keys. So again, here we're just passing that file path. And then from there, we're creating a client through the SDK, and then just a little bit of error logging as well. We're going to then initialize that address. So again, we're passing in the wallet address from above. And we're saying we're using which network here. So this is where you specify mainnet or Solana. And again, we're using Ethereum Holsky. And then here we're going to use one of the built-in functions to check our staking balance. So let's go ahead and just take a peek at this. Right, we're going through the client we created, our method of get staking balance, passing in the background, our address, and then specifying, we want to see the staking balance, a little more error handling. And then I think I'm just missing a close bracket here. Awesome. And that should be everything we need to get started. So let's go ahead and try this out. So I'm going to run go mod tidy first, just to make sure we have everything. And then should we be able to do go run? Actually, sorry, let me just make this a little bigger to make sure everyone can see. Go run stake.go. Awesome. Look at that. So we have a stakeable balance from that address of 33.77 ETH. Again, this is Holsky, just testnet funds. And for following along, right, you should be able to go to a faucet. You can Google a faucet, go to anyone that you think might be best for you, and get testnet funds. Again, this is just one example here from QuickNode. Other cool thing, right, through like our TypeScript SDK is you'll be able to request that directly in the SDK, so you don't have to exit to some other site or request it through another way. You're able to do that all through your code here, which is awesome. Cool. I was just pausing to check chat. Awesome, right? So now we know we have funds on Holsky. So the next part, right, is building a staking transaction. Again, this is one of the things that, if you're not familiar with ETH staking, might be a little unique. But right, you pretty much take all of your input parameters and you sign it using that address, and then you submit it through a smart contract, essentially. And right, so it's kind of two components, right? You have to put together the transaction and then submit it. So this next part here, right, I'm going to go ahead and copy it, and then we'll go through it. Is right, putting in those parameters to specify what we want to do or what we want to stake and how much. Right, so after we check our balance, we're going to go ahead and create a staking operation through the client. We do need to import one other package here, which VS Code does for us automatically. And then you're able to specify, right, how much we're going to stake, which in our example here is 0.005 ETH. Again, no minimum, which is great for anyone looking to stake without meeting that 32 threshold. And then again, we're just going to print out that staking operation here. So let's go ahead and just run this one more time. Awesome. So we can see here, and actually I'm just going to highlight it here and zoom in again. So we built a staking transaction, and we have this operation ID here, right? So that's just an ID that's actually tied to a hash of all that information, right? Like the address we're staking from, how much we're staking. And now we're just kind of holding that locally. So the next thing we need to do, right, is submit that to the network. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to come back to that, because I know as we scroll down here, there's the example, as I was mentioning before, of creating a staking transaction using a wallet address as opposed to the EOA. So again, you guys saw earlier, right? I input my own like personal address up here, whatever address you're using. The cool thing with the CDP SDK is, right, you also get access to Coinbase infrastructure where you're able to create a wallet, right, without having to go through saving the mnemonic, or right, having to import it. So you're able to directly create a wallet in one line of code. So I'm just going to zoom in again here. And this is just an example from our TypeScript SDK, right? Just wallet create, you pass in the network. In this case, again, Holsky as well. And you're able to get a wallet ID and the address right there, and then pretty much pass in that address just like I did earlier. So again, if you maybe have users who aren't as crypto native and you need to create a wallet on their behalf, this is a great way to do that as well. And then again, there's a couple different ways you can save that wallet seed. Right, there's one-of-one signers where you pretty much custody your own seed, and then there's 2 of 2 where Coinbase will hold part of that seed as well. But again, just want to touch upon that. And again, if there's interest, maybe we can go through that example next time as well. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the part where we broadcast our staking transaction. This is where, right, you actually start staking, or right, submit to the network that you want to start staking. You still have to go through that queuing period, but right, this is if you're interacted on Ethereum before, right, we need to connect to an RPC client. And then we added a couple more packages here as well. So we can download those, but I'm just going to add them to our code here, and then we'll just tidy up the file after, and it should install these for us. We're going to need to add a couple extra constants as well. As I mentioned, we need a RPC endpoint. So that's what this node URL is going to be. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit on the code here just so we can get a bigger picture. And then I think we have it listed further down, right? But you can, connect to whatever RPC node you want. These aren't provided by Coinbase. This is just a list of public ones. So I'd probably recommend you, if you're doing something production grade, partner with RPC provider. But for our example today, this should do just fine. So I'm going to copy this one. I just see check on the scores, check on privacy, and lower latency. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in here. And then you will need to, again, in this EOA case, right? I'm just using my Coinbase wallet, standard self-custodial wallet. You'll have to import your private key because you're going to have to sign this transaction and submit it on chain. So I am going to go ahead and create an environment file. And then I'm going to stop sharing just so no one sees my private key. And again, this is still same principles of crypto. Never share your private key publicly, especially on Discord. We'll never reach out to anyone. So always be extremely cautious of doing anything of the sorts. So let me go ahead and add my private key here. Save that and close out of it. And then I'm going to add a couple extra lines here just to read in my private key from that environment file. And again, I will share in just a second. I just want to practice some good hygiene here. Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm going to start sharing again, and we can keep moving. Awesome. All right. So I just shared Chrome again, and then let me share VS Code as well. Awesome. Okay, so just to catch everyone up, right? I added that environment file with my private key in there for the address that I'm going to be submitting the transaction from. I'm just loading that in with a couple extra pieces of code here, an extra package to load in from that environment file. And then I'm going to be assigning that to a private key variable. So if we go back to our documentation, right, we see similar code to what we had above, right, getting the staking balance of the connected wallet, building that transaction. All right, and then the last part here, which is highlighted, is we'll go ahead and actually just copy this line by line and break it down. We're going to go ahead and take that private key and pass it through a crypto function, right, to enable it to sign. And then we'll do just that using our built-in function here on the left. All right, so we take the key we just created using our private key, and we're able to sign that staking operation we just created earlier. And then we need to connect to that RPC node. All right, using our endpoint up here that we added, that node URL. Right, again, that's how we interact with the network, is so we're able to submit this transaction. And then this last part is us actually doing just what I said, right? We have the operation, we signed it, we're connected to the network now. So let's broadcast it, let's send this bad boy out. There you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this now. Everything should be good. We're gonna go ahead and run one more go mod tidy, make sure everything's downloaded. And getting one error here. Let's see, I did run into this. There's actually one thing we need to update as well. And let me go ahead and it's just a small interface error actually. So maybe I can submit this separately. But we want this this way. And then I'm missing one more. Have the extra there. Transaction. Sorry, let me go ahead and try this one more time here. Perfect. Okay. So there's a minor typo just in the docs here. We're just going to want to assert that interface type instead. And that's something, again, if anyone's following along, just message in the Discord and can maybe get this cleared up. But with that being said, let's go ahead and try it out. Let me just run one more. Go run stake.go. So we can see, similar to before, built that transaction. We have that ID, we signed it, and we broadcasted the transaction. We have the transaction hash. So then we're able to go to one of our block explorers and check that out. And we can see it was submitted to the network successfully. It's still going to take a little bit of time to load, but there we go. Awesome. That is our partial ETH staking in a nutshell. So you can see just kind of what happened here. We submitted those funds to a pool. And then from there, right, it takes the pool and it will create an Ethereum validator once it reaches that threshold there. But this is, right, how easy it is to get started in, I don't even know what that was, 20 minutes from having nothing to submitting a transaction on chain, staking, contributing to the network, just testnet in this case. But right, it's that easy for you, and then it's that easy to implement that for your users as well. Yeah, and happy to answer any other questions, but that's a walkthrough and a quick breakdown of what we just of the docs and of how to get on chain. Yeah.
Yeah, I can run through any questions that came in. In the meantime, though, question for you, Eric. So, are there any other protocols or networks you're planning to add?
Oh, yeah. So as I mentioned right now, there's only the partial ETH staking
Okay, sorry.
and right, the dedicated ETH staking, the 32 minimum. We do have Solana as well.
Yeah.
There are other protocols that we're planning on releasing. It's not currently an ETA, but we know, having network support is important. So if anyone has, a priority and wants to give us feedback, we're always happy to hear it. But right now, right, it's just those two networks. We do plan on adding more, but always happy to hear suggestions for what other networks people want to see.
Yeah, you guys can add those into the chat if you have ideas. One more question since there's none coming in. What other features are you going to be added to the staking service? If
Yeah,
you
great
haven't answered
question.
that yet.
Yeah. One of the cool things that's coming up is on-chain billing, right? So as part of an effort to bring Coinbase more on-chain, we're going to be releasing a feature where, right, you're able to spin up these validators, which are earning rewards, and then directly bill on-chain from those rewards so that you don't have to go through like a separate invoicing. It's all on-chain, right? One of the things we love about crypto is being able to trace things. So it's, instant, transparent, and right, just as easy as it can be, right? Because you don't have to do any extra effort with the on-chain billing. It comes directly out of the rewards from the validator. So super excited about that. One of the things that um, I think has been missing for a while and is, again, just a super awesome use case for crypto.
Cool, thanks.
And anyone in chat, I see some familiar faces too. Any sort of feedback on where this workshop was at? Do you wish there was maybe more basics that was covered? I think throughout this whole thing, I had some assumptions about previous knowledge into staking, or do you guys wish that maybe this was a little more detailed? We went more into right the mechanisms of the smart contracts and right looking more at the beacon chain. So happy to hear any sort of feedback around that. One of my other goals just is to get the staking channel in Discord a little more active. Um, we do have a channel specifically dedicated to staking. So I highly encourage anyone to post there if you have more questions. And yeah, would love to see people there. Even if you're curious or if you think of a question later, please put there.
Yeah, and Ellie's going to send out a form too for people to fill out, a feedback form. So yeah, so she just posted it. So you can put your thoughts in there. And then if you have, any further questions and continue the conversation, you can do it in the staking channel. So yeah, we can wait another minute, but it was so exciting to do this. Thanks, Eric. And thanks for everybody who joined us today. We love doing these workshops and we're excited for more to come out. We're going to have a lot of events coming soon here in the next few weeks before Christmas. So yeah, pay attention to that and the schedule will be posted. And in Luma, of course, we're always posting our events, but yeah, we're super excited to, try new things with these hands-on workshops and stuff too. Yeah, she'll post those in